Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. all your heart, loudly, with clapping. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe. Bolo. Jai Radhe Jaya Radhe Radhe, Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe. Shri Radhe. Jai Krishna Krishna, Jai Krishna Jaya Shri Krishna. Jai Krishna Krishna, Jai Krishna Jaya Shri Krishna. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Narahari, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Narahari. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Vishnupad Paramhans Parivadakacharya Stotar Shata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki. Jaya Vishnupad Paramhans Parivadakacharya Stotar Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की। गंगा माई यमुना माई की। समावेद भक्तवृंद की। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So we will read the Shri Brahma Samhita. Can you also put up the translations first? 29 onward. English translations first, and then we do the Hindi, Sanskrit. So let's all read this together. Is that okay? I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyamasundara is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants, Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna, and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence is the source of the non-differentiated Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads, being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, appears as the indivisible, infinite, limitless truth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is the absolute substantive principle, being the ultimate entity in the form of the support of all existence, whose external potency embodies the threefold mundane qualities, namely sattva, rajas, and tamas, and diffuses the Vedic knowledge regarding the mundane world. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes, being reflected in the mind of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. Lowest of all is located Devi Dham, mundane world. Next above it is Mahesh Dham, abode of Mahesha. Above Mahesh Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. The external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from its cause, namely milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. The light of one candle being communicated to other candles, although it burns separately in them, is the same in its quality. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who exhibits himself equally in the same mobile manner in his various manifestations. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who, assuming his own great subjective form, who bears the name of Shesha, replete with the all-accommodating potency, and reposing in the causal ocean, with the infinity of the world in the pores of his hair, enjoys creative sleep, yoga nidra. Brahma and other lords of the mundane worlds, appearing from the pores of hair of Mahavishnu, remain alive as long as the duration of one exhalation of the latter, Mahavishnu. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whose subjective personality, Mahavishnu, is a portion of portion. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bears the names of Suryakanta, etc. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head, in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. The three worlds are composed of the 9 elements: fire, earth, ether, water, air, direction, time, soul, and mind. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom they originate, in whom they exist, and into whom they enter at the time of the universal cataclysm. The sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey mounting the wheel of time. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, by whose comfort power are maintained the manifested potencies that are found to exist of all virtues, all vices, the Vedas, the penances, and all jivas from Brahma to the meanest insect. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each of the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities, of all those who walk in the path of work, in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name of Indragopa than in that of Indra, king of the Devas. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him under the sway of wrath, amorous passion, natural friendly love, fear, parental affection, delusion, reverence, and willing service, attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation. I worship that transcendental seat known as Shwetadvipa, where as loving consorts, the Lakshmis in their unalloyed spiritual essence practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Krishna as their only lover, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is the purpose gem, all water is nectar, every word is a song, every gate is a dance. The flute is the favorite attendant. Effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty, where numberless milk cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka, only to a very few self-realized souls in this world. Read the Sanskrit translation, Mataji. So for those who are wondering what prayer do we chant when the curtain opens in the morning at 7:15, the song is Govindam Maripurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So that prayer is made up of two verses. It's taken from this Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabhira Bipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasta Satasam Pramasevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kvanantamaravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadyanamala Vamshi Ratna Gadam Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasam Shamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Paschanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujjvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitamatchutamanadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabhamatma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayo Rathapi Manaso Munipungavanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimni Vichinta Tattve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopyaso Rachayitum Jagadanda Kotim Yachaktirasti Jagadanda Chayaya Dantaha Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yadbhava Bhavita Dhiyo Manujasthataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhushaha Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitestu Vanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Tabhirya Eva Nijarupa Taya Kalabhi गोलोक एव निवसति अखिलात्मभूतो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। प्रेमाञ्जनचुरितभक्तिविलोचनेन सन्तः सदैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्य गुणस्वरूपं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। रामादिमूर्तिषु कलानियमेन तिष्ठन् नानावतारमकरोद्भुवनेषु किन्तु कृष्णः स्वयं समभवत् परमः पुमान्यो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। यस्य प्रभा प्रभवतो जगदण्डकोटि कोटिष्वशेषवसुधादिविभूतिभिन्नं तद्ब्रह्मनिष्कलमनन्तमशेषभूतं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। माया हि यस्य जगदण्डशतानि सूते त्रैगुण्यतद्विषयवेदवितायमाना सत्त्वावलम्बि परसत्त्वं विशुद्धसत्त्वं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। आनन्दचिन्मयरसात्मतया मनसु यः प्राणिनां प्रतिफलं स्मरतामुपेत्य लीलायितेन भुवनानि जयत्यजस्रं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। गोलोकनाम्नि निजधाम्नि तले च तस्य देवी महेशहरिधामसुतेषु तेषु ते प्रभावनिचया विहिताश्च येन गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। सृष्टिस्थितिप्रलयसाधनशक्तिरेका चायेव यस्य भुवनानि बिभर्ति दुर्गा इच्छानुरूपमपि यस्य च चेष्टते सा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। क्षीरं यथा दधिविकारविशेषयोगात् सञ्जायते न हि ततः प्रतिगस्ति हेतुः यः शम्भुतामपि तथा समुपैति कार्याद् गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। दीपार्चिरे वहि दशान्तरमाभ्युपेत्य दीपायते विवृतहेतुसमानधर्मा यस्तादृगे वहि च विष्णुतया विभाति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। यः कारणार्णवजले भजति स्म योगा निद्रामनन्तजगदण्डसरोमकूपः आधारशक्तिमवलम्ब्य परां स्वमूर्तिं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। यस्यैकनिश्वसितकालमथावलम्ब्य जीवन्ति लोमविलजा जगदण्डनाथः विष्णुर्महान् स इह यस्य कलाविशेषो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। भास्वान् यथा स्म सकलेषु निजेषु तेजः स्वीयं कियत्प्रकृतियत्यपि तत्त्वदत्र ब्रह्माय एष जगदण्डविधानकर्ता गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। यत्पादपल्लवयुगं विनिधाय कुम्भ द्वन्द्वे प्रणामसमये स गणाधिराजः विघ्नान् विहन्तुमलमस्य जगत्त्रयस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। अग्निर्मही गगनमम्बुमरुदिशश्च कालस्तथात्ममनसीति जगत्त्रयाणि यस्मात् भवन्ति विभवन्ति विशन्ति यं च गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि। यच्चक्षुरेश सविता सकलग्रहाणां राजा समस्तसुरमूर्तिरशेषतेजः यस्याज्ञया भ्रमति सम्प्रतकालचक्रो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि धर्मोऽथ पापनिचयः श्रुतयस्ततां पांसि ब्रह्मादिकीटपतगावदयश्च जीवः यद्यत्र मात्रविभवः प्रकटप्रभावा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्त्विन्द्रगोपमथवेन्द्रमहोत्स्वकर्म बन्धानुरूपफलभाजनमातनोति कर्माणि निर्दहति किन्तु च भक्तिभाजां गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यं क्रोधकामसहजप्रणयादिभीति वात्सल्यमोहगुरुगौरवसेव्यभावैः सञ्चिन्त्य तत्सदिष्टिं तनुमापुरेति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि श्रियः कान्ता कान्ता परमपुरुषकल्पतरवो द्रुमा भूमिश्चिन्तामणिगणमयि तोयममृतं कथागानं नाट्यं गमनमपि वंशी प्रियसखी चिदानन्दं ज्योतिः परमपि तद् आस्वादमपि च स यत्र क्षीराब्धिः श्रवति सुरभियश्च सुमहान् निमेषार्धाख्यो वा व्रजते नैन्यत्रापि समयः भजे श्वेतद्वीपं तमहमियं गोलोकमिति यं विदन्तस्ते सन्तः क्षितिविरलचारा कतिपये ईश्वर परमा कृष्ण सच्चिदानन्दविग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकारणकारणम् इति श्री ब्रह्म संहिता संपूर्णम हरिः ओम Srimad Bhagavatam class in approximately 5 minutes. We'll take a quick break. So let's get the room rearranged with all the seats. And if you want to take a bio break, get some water or something, feel free. So we'll assemble back in a few minutes. Sound like a plan? All right. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano Premamritam Manidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyau Priyakarau Nirmasaram Pujitau Sri Yaśoda-Krpā bharau bhuvi bhuva bharavahantarakam Vande rupa sanatana raghujagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyam Priyakaram Nirmasaram Pujitam Nana Shastra Vicharanayika Nipunam Saddharma Sanghastapakam Lokanang Hitakarinam Tribhuvane Mannam Saranyakanam Nana Shastra Vicharanayika Nipunam Saddharma Sanghastapakam Lokanang Hitakarinam Tribhumane Mannam Saranakaram Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajananandena Matvalikam Vande Rupa Sanatanam Raghujagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Sri Yaśoda-Krpā bharau bhuvi bhuva bharavahantarakam Vande rupa sanatana raghujagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Sri Gauranga Gunanugandana Vidhau Sadhyasamidharnitam Papatrapanikam
Hare Krishna. Good morning and welcome to the Saturday morning. Hare Krishna. Is it better? So again, good morning and welcome again to Saturday morning, ISKCON of Silicon Valley, Bhagavatam class. Some of you have been joining since very morning, around 5 or 6 o'clock. So, this tells how sincere you are. It's one of the criteria, one of the qualifications for spiritual progress to be sincere and diligent in your path of bhakti. We also have some audience online. I can see a few. I can see Bhakta Tim, Bhaktin Alpana from Middle East. Shirley is there. And I cannot read the names, but yes. Thanks for joining everybody online and in live here. Hare Krishna. So we'll start with the Radha Madhav Kirtan. Okay. Karta. can you get the kirtan please on the screen? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yaśoda-Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yaśoda-Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yaśoda-Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Mangalacharan, please. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So nice to see all their smiling faces on a morning, bright morning after many days of rain, right? It's been raining very badly. It's bad or good? It's good. In one sense, we have heavy rains for 1 month. It fills up all the water for the rest of the year, at least in the Bay Area. And we have a lot of people joining online. Can I take a look, Mataji? Somebody who is joining from Zoom? So, okay, good. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Weekend plans. I mean, half of the weekend is gone already, right? When you're in the temple early in the morning, you get your brunch here, then you go home, half the day is gone. And then tomorrow evening is gone, right? But what do we do over the weekend in general? Or everybody online on Zoom, feel free to dial in. I mean, not dial in, you're already. Feel free to speak up, unmute yourself and speak up. Please participate. What do we do on the weekends? Stay silent or? Yes, go ahead.
So you're asking what are we?
What things do we do on the weekend?
Come to temple.
Come to temple?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
See some friends.
Friends is good. Interestingly, I actually met a friend some time back, my college friend, and he he reminded me of another senior in my college back in 2004, 5, 6 days, right? 15, 16 years ago, 17 years ago. And then the other person, he said, my friend said, hey, you are putting on tilak and kantimal and all, you are a devotee. Let me give you, more reference. One of our seniors actually in college, he's become a devotee. So I got in touch with the other senior, and it was so nice to meet him after many, many years, but as a devotee now. So friends, yeah, always good to have friends. Yes. Online, yeah, Tim, go ahead. You have to unmute yourself. Okay, we can
Sorry,
hear you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
On the weekends, to go out for books, distribute books.
Distribute books, good. And you make more friends, right? Great. So let's take this topic of friends. Any examples? Any I think you remember from meeting old friends, just like I mentioned, I met an old friend after many, many years. So, anybody can share? What do you feel? How do you feel when you meet some old friends after many years? Yes, Prabhu, yes.
Whenever I meet an old high school friend or college friend, oftentimes what ends up happening is we talk about other old things as well, like other people within our old friend group, other people we both might have known, just things we mutually knew from that past time, basically.
We mutually knew from other older days, and we talk about somebody else. Because there's nothing to talk about present, right? So we go in the memory lanes back in the older days, 15 years ago. What do you think, Pramod? Use the mic.
Yeah, I think reliving on common connections in old times.
Common connections. Good. So this is a story when Krishna met an old friend. Krishna has friends too, right? So many of them. Practically everybody is Krishna's friend. He says in Bhagavad Gita, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, I am well-wisher to everybody. We may not recognize that we are his friends and he is our friend, but friendship is always there, right? He's a well-wisher. And that friendship can be manifested as just a relation as a casual friend or a lover or a parent-child relationship. Different ways of relationships are there. But this is a specific story of Krishna when he meets an old friend after many, many years ago. Anybody remembers the story? Yes, yes.
This is the story of Sudama.
Sudama. Very quickly, in 4 sentences for everybody. What is that story? Oh, you don't know? Okay, good. Then one more reason for me to go and speak about it. All right. So, I will pick up from the Bhagavatam. This is from the 10th canto, 88th chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiryayet. Before reciting, Mataji, can you go back please? The translation. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So I'm going to read, and Mata, you don't have to put it on the screen, it's okay. You can just leave the screen blank so that we can see the Zoom audience. So this is the story, and I'm not going to read the full chapter. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you can see, Srila Prabhupada in his purports as well as his disciples after he departed, he have started the chapters with some couple of paragraphs of summary in the beginning. So I'm going to read that to the story. Everybody good so far? About friends, right? Krishna's friends. This chapter relates how Lord Krishna worshipped his Brahmana friend, Sudama, who came to his palace seeking charity, and how the two of them discussed the pastimes they had shared while living at the home of their spiritual master, Sandipani Muni. The Brahmana Sudama, a personal friend of Lord Krishna's, was completely free of material desires. He maintained himself and his wife with whatever came of its own accord, and thus they were poverty-stricken. One day Sudama's wife, unable to find any food to prepare for her husband, went to him and asked that he visit his friend Krishna in Dwarka and beg some charity. So his wife says, your friend is a king now, right? You played with him as a cowherd boy in the ashram of your spiritual master, but now your friend is a big person. He checked his LinkedIn profile and said, yeah, refer my resume. So Yeah. So now what happens? Sudama was reluctant, but when she persisted, he agreed to go, reflecting that an opportunity to see the Lord was extremely auspicious. His wife begged a few handfuls of flattened rice as a gift for Shri Krishna, and Sudama set off for Dwarka. As Sudama approached the palace of Lord Krishna's principal wife, Rukmini Devi, the Lord saw him from a distance. Krishna immediately rose from his seat on Rukmini's bed and embraced his friend with great joy. Then he sat Sudama down on the bed, washed his feet with his own hands, and sprinkled the wash water on his head. After this, he presented him with various gifts and worshipped him with incense, lamps, and so on. Meanwhile, Rukmini fanned the shabbily dressed Brahmana with a yak-tail whisk. All of this astonished the residents of the palace. Lord Sri Krishna then took the hand of his friend, and the two of them reminisced, how do I pronounce it? Reminisced, right? About the things they had done together long ago. Old buddies, right? We talked about the old days. While living in the school of their spiritual master, Sudama pointed out that Krishna engages in the pastime of acquiring an education only to set an example for human society. So Krishna is the spiritual master of the entire universe, or all the universes. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. He does not need have a spiritual master. But here, he sets the example for human society of why education is important and why we should approach a spiritual master, a guru. So then we go to the next chapter to complete the story. And the next chapter is called The Lord Blesses Sudama Brahman. Now this chapter describes how Lord Krishna ate a morsel of the flat rice brought by his friend Sudama and bestowed upon him wealth greater than that of the king of heaven. In the course of his loving talks with his friend Sudama, Lord Krishna said, "My dear Brahmana, have you brought any gift for me from home? I regard as very significant even the smallest offering from my loving devotee." But the poor Brahmana was ashamed to present Krishna with his meager gift of flat rice. However, and that too was begged from the neighbors. However, since Lord Krishna is the super soul dwelling in all hearts, he knew why Sudama had come to visit him. So he grabbed a bundle of flat rice Sudama was hiding and ate a handful of it with great pleasure. He was about to eat a second morsel when Rukmini Devi stopped him. You know why she stopped him? Krishna is satisfied with a small morsel of a small gift. If you give more of that, he is more satisfied than what you might handle, what you can handle, right? So Rukmini actually explains in that just is enough for you, because Krishna says, if somebody approaches me, I offer myself to that person. How much can you offer? After one morsel of rice? One more? Right? So to be practical, Rukmini said, we also need you. Okay? So, feeling as if he had gone back to Godhead, Sudama spent that night comfortably in Lord Krishna's palace, and the next morning he set off for home. As he passed along the highway, he thought of how fortunate he was to have been so honored by Shri Krishna. Absorbed in his meditation, Sudama arrived at the place where his home used to be, and he was struck with great wonder. Instead of his broken down hovel, he saw a series of opulent palaces. While he stood astonished, a group of beautiful men and women came forward to greet him with singing and music. The Brahmana's wife, wonderfully adorned with celestial jewelry, came out of the palace and welcomed him with great love and reverence. Sudama entered his home together with her, thinking that this extraordinary transformation must have been due to the Supreme Lord's mercy on him. From then on, Sudama lived his life amidst lavish wealth. Yet he maintained his mood of detachment and constantly chanted the glories of Lord Krishna. In a short time, he broke off all bonds of bodily attachment and attained to the kingdom of God. How's the story? Right? So I tried to condense the story by not going into the Sanskrit verses and the purports. But Krishangi Mataji, if you can please bring up the verse, I think it's 10th canto, chapter 80. Verse 27. Thank you. So let's go to the translation. So Shukdev Goswami continues his Bhagavatam narration to Parikshit Maharaj. So now he says here, taking each other's hands. So now the story is where Sudama has already entered the palace. They have done the greetings, the courtesies, and now he is sitting with Krishna on his bed. So Krishna is sitting actually on the floor as his servant. And then they are talking of the older days. Taking each other's hands, O king, Krishna and Sudama talk pleasantly about how they once lived together in the school of their guru. Next one, please. Translations only. Yes. Next. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Brahmana, you know well the ways of dharma. After you offered the gift of remuneration to our Guru and returned home from his school, did you marry a compatible wife or not? Even though you are mostly involved in household affairs, your mind is not affected by material desires. Nor, O learned one, do you take much pleasure in the pursuit of material wealth. This I am well aware of. Having renounced all material propensities, which spring from the Lord's illusory energy, some people execute worldly duties with their minds undisturbed by mundane desires. They act as I do, to instruct the general populace." My dear Brahmana, now it comes the story, right? Do you remember? Do you remember how we played video games together? What kind of games you played, Yash Prabhu, with your friends?
Mario Kart.
What's that?
Mario Kart.
Mario, okay. Mike, please.
PlayStation.
PlayStation. Good. In the back. Chuck or Pramod, or anybody on Zoom, feel free to chime in here. What kind of things you did in your childhood with your friends?
Played basketball.
Basketball, great. Anybody on Zoom? That's okay.
Hi,
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Like I used to play Strapu, the
So-
floor game.
Oh, floor game, wow. So all of us have stories that we can relate back to our old friends, right? So now Krishna talks about a time when they were struck in they got stranded in a rain actually. They got stuck in a bad weather. You know, these days we have bad weather in the Bay Area. Landslides and storms and thunder and lightning and rains and everything, right? Anybody experience of that? Okay. My dear Brahmana, do you remember how we lived together in our spiritual master's school? When a twice-born student has learned from his guru all that is to be learned, he can enjoy spiritual life, which lies beyond all ignorance. So Mataji, if you can bring up the slide that I shared with you. Did you receive it? Thank you. Put in the slide mode and then, yeah. So this is where we see on the left side, and the picture is getting cropped. Yeah, okay, now thanks. So now Sudama is sitting, and Krishna and Rukmini are serving him. They're washing his feet. You see a conch in Krishna's hand, and he's offering water to, it's called Padya water, to the feet of the Brahmana. And then they were talking and going back in the older days when they were small kids, right? They were in the forest. So that's how I'll continue reading forward here. My dear Brahmana, do you remember how we lived together? Please carry on with that slide. Please do not change. Please, I'll just read from the book. I have it with me. Mataji. Yeah. Slide only, yes. That's okay. My dear Brahmana, do you remember how we lived together in our spiritual master's school? When a twice-born student has learned from his guru all that is to be learned, he can enjoy spiritual life which lies beyond all ignorance. My dear friend, he who gives a person his physical birth is his first spiritual master. That means parents. So mother and father, they give the physical birth. And they are the first guru, or the first spiritual master. Right, Vicky? And he who initiates him as a twice-born Brahmana and engages him in religious duties is indeed more directly his spiritual master. The word used here is indeed more directly. But the person who bestows transcendental knowledge upon the members of all the spiritual orders of society is one's ultimate spiritual master. Indeed, he is as good as my own self. So now Krishna is telling Sudama in the example of the story he brought up in older days when we were together in the Guru's ashram, he also emphasizes on the importance of spiritual master. Certainly, O Brahmana, of all the followers of the Varnashrama system, those who take advantage of the words I speak in my form as the spiritual master. Now Krishna says he is also a spiritual master because he is the spiritual master of the entire world. I speak in my form as a spiritual master and thus easily cross over the ocean of material existence, best understand their own true welfare. What is true welfare? To understand Krishna's words. I, the soul of all beings, am not as satisfied by ritual worship, Brahminical initiation, penances or self-discipline, as I am by faithful service rendered to one's spiritual master. O Brahmana, do you remember what happened to us while we were living with our spiritual master? Once our Guru's wife sent us to fetch firewood, and after we entered the vast forest, O twice-born one, an unseasonal storm arose with fierce wind and rain and harsh thunder. So you can see in the picture here, little kids sitting under a tree and waiting for the rain to get over. Rain, rain, go away, come again another day. Little Krishna Sudama want to go home. Then as the sun set, the forest was covered by darkness in every direction, and with all the flooding we could not distinguish high land from low. There was water everywhere. It's not like, go to 101 or 280 and then there's like 3 inches of water in some ditch and the agencies come and say, it's flooding here, stop all the traffic. So it was real big flood, water was everywhere. Constantly besieged by the powerful wind and rain, we lost our way amidst the flooding waters. We simply held each other's hands and in great distress wandered aimlessly about the forest. Our Guru, Sandipani, understanding our predicament, set out after sunrise to search for us, his disciples, and found us in distress. So when the whole night passed and the Guru could not find Krishna and Sudama, then he had to go out and find out where are the kids, where are the students. Sandipani said, "O my children, you have suffered so much for my sake. The body is most dear to every living creature, but you are so dedicated to me that you completely disregarded your own comfort. This indeed is the duty of all true disciples, to repay the debt to their spiritual master by offering him with pure hearts their wealth and even their very lives. You boys are first-class Brahmanas, and I am satisfied with you. May all your desires be fulfilled, and may the Vedic mantras you have learned never lose their meaning for you in this world or the next. And then Krishna continues, we had many similar experiences while living in our spiritual master's home. Simply by the grace of the spiritual master, a person can fulfill life's purpose and attain eternal peace. So this episode, Krishna could have spoken of 20 other things, right? But here Krishna is bringing up a very important topic. And since some of you mentioned that we talk about some mutual connections, mutual friends, things we did together, mutual activities. So the mutual connection between Sudama and Krishna was the spiritual master, Sandipani Muni. And Krishna here brings out a very important point about the importance of service to a spiritual master. Krishna himself, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not need a guru or spiritual master. Agree or not? But then, he not only went to study with his guru, he also remembers the story. And after he has grown up like a king, he has not forgotten the older days. And there are more examples in Srimad Bhagavatam and our scriptures, other places where lot of conversations, many conversations have happened between the spiritual master and the disciple. So I'd like to hear from the audience here, if you can bring up some more examples, which you may have read or heard in other classes.
One example is from the third canto, Devahuti and Kapildev. Kapildev was Devahuti's son.
Devahuti's spiritual master is her son.
Yes.
Kapiladev. Good. Very nice. Others? Anybody? Or on Zoom?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Such a nice topic.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
A nice storyline. Yeah, I remember a couple of examples. One is Arjun, he was friend, but he became dear disciple of Krishna
Yes.
at the time of crisis.
Arjuna and Krishna. Yes.
And then also Srila Prabhupada accepted defeat from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj on the first meeting. And he very fondly remembers that. And Prabhupada was never defeated by anybody, but he proudly remembers his defeat with. Same with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ishwar Puri.
Ishwar Puri, yes.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also very happily he accepts, although he's Supreme Lord,
Yes.
Everything, but he accepts that there was some mistake that he pointed out in Ishwar Puri's literature as a mistake. So these are some of the examples.
Good, thank
And
you,
there are-
Prabhu. Thank you so much. There's a story about Narad Muni. Actually, he's the most frequently occurring, right? The person in the Srimad Bhagavatam, everywhere. He was a spiritual master to Vedavyasa, right? And to Prahlad, before he was even born, to his mother, Kayadhu, right? And then, who else? Yes, Prabhu.
He's also spiritual master of Dhruva Maharaj.
Sorry?
He's the spiritual master of Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruv Maharaj, yes. And who is another spiritual master?
Brahma?
Brahma. And Brahma spiritual master. Krishna himself. The Srimad Bhagavatam starts with the first sentence, the first sloka, Tene Brahma Hidaya Adi Kavaye. It glorifies the Lord, Supreme Lord, where he gave the knowledge, awakened the knowledge in Brahma's heart. And there is a further elaborate description of when Brahma was lost and he was doing the meditation and he found out a voice calling tapa, do practice meditation, right? So we discussed so many examples from Bhagavatam, and Prabhu mentioned about Ishwar Puri and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Another example of Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? And the contemporary context, Srila Prabhupada and his spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta, whose birth anniversary is coming up, appearance day next week. So there are so many examples. Now, one thing is common in all of these examples. Actually, not one. There are multiple things common. At least 3 or 4 things I can think of common in all the examples. Take a deep breath and think of what can you relate in all of these guru and disciple relationships which you may have read or heard in the past. And people who are sitting in the Zoom dham, feel free to speak up without raising your hands, because we might not acknowledge your hands timely, but because the audience is little here, so yeah, please, Prabhu, yes.
In all instances, the student is always inquiring or asking questions to the spiritual master.
Great. It starts with the student asking a question. Krishna and Arjuna knew each other for many, many years. But Krishna didn't tell Arjuna the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita until he started asking the questions. Right? Brahma was born out of a lotus stem as the first person, but he was lost first and he started asking, where I am, who am I? Sanatan Goswami. There is a Bengali verse, and Shamru Prabhu can enlighten us with Bengali, but it's beyond my scope of knowledge and skills. But it is with verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says that I don't know who am I. So he approaches Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all of these examples, it starts with a question. Good, Tim Prabhu, thank you. Next thing which is common in all these relationships. What's the next example? Next commonality.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
They all were not satisfied or unhappy with their current situation.
They were not satisfied with their current situation. Good. So it means when somebody is not satisfied with the current situation, what they must seek? The spiritual master. Yes.
The devotee accepts the spiritual master as a higher authority.
Higher authority, with humility, with surrender, one approaches the spiritual master. See, it's easy, 3 of them, right? So without even knowing the details of the Sanskrit and all, we can easily infer from these, just by studying the names here, that these things are commonly observed in all of these relationships between student and his disciple and his or her spiritual master. The humility, the honesty to surrender and saying that I need help or I am dissatisfied with my current situation. None of them went and say, hey, I am paying you a fee, enroll me and give me knowledge. In fact, Sanatan Goswami was a highly placed minister in the government of Bengal, Nawab Hussain Shah's government. He left his government position. He was by all means, he was the opulent, affluent person in the society. And his brother Rupa Goswami. Materially, he did not need anything. But then he approached the spiritual master. Vedavyasa, he had written the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras, everything. And then he was dissatisfied, as we heard from the Zoom. Starts with dissatisfaction, that we need to get something in our life, spiritually. And therefore, we must seek help from somebody who is spiritually more advanced than me. So, spiritual master's glories are unlimited. And there is a special verse actually. Well, there are so many verses in Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. But of course, Bhagavad Gita says, chapter 4, 34th verse, right? That you should approach a spiritual master, surrender, serve humbly, and then you ask questions. Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. So then let's go to Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Mataji, if you can bring up on your screen the Veda base, 11th canto, and I think it's 3rd chapter, 21st verse, 11:3:21. This is the conversation happening between Nimi and the Navi-Yogendras, the 9 Yogendras, the sons of Rishabdeva. They're all saintly people. So King Nimi is asking the questions. So please repeat after me. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam Shabde Parecha Nishnantam Brahmani Upashamashrayam. Tasmat, therefore, Gurum, a spiritual master, Prapadyeta, one should take shelter of, Jignasu, being inquisitive. Please read loudly. Shreya Uttamam, about the highest goal, good, Shabde, in the Vedas, Pare, in the supreme, Cha, and Nishnatam, perfectly knowledgeable, Brahmani, in these two aspects of the absolute truth, Upshamashrayam, fixed in detachment from material affairs. So anybody from audience, please want to read the translation? Go ahead, Luigi.
Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual masters.
Great, thanks. Okay, so there are several gems hidden in this translation. Very quickly, let's go over them one by one. What did you catch in this translation? Yes, check please.
The qualification of a bona fide guru.
Good, okay. What is that?
Which is that he's realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and able to convince others of these conclusions.
Okay, good. So the bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusion of the scriptures. And not somebody who can perform the gymnastics Prabhupada calls, right? The yoga powers and making something disappear or appear in their hands like this. They have realized the conclusions of these scriptures by deliberation. And their qualification is that they're also able to convince others of these conclusions. They don't convince anybody of their own powers, their own capabilities, or their own achievements. They convince others of these conclusions of scriptures. So first they have understood these conclusions, and second, they disseminate the same conclusions to others. Okay, thanks Chak Prabhu. Next. Anything that's attracting you here?
The real happiness is leaving aside all material considerations, but that is understood only with the help of a bona fide spiritual master.
Yes. So leave aside all the material considerations. But then the question might come, should we approach spiritual master for our material queries? Right? It's a valid question. Should we or should we not? I want to invest in that stock. How is that real estate property in that zip code? How is that school district? So we can ask this question to spiritual master, right? Of course, no, the name is spiritual master. He is not a material master. So, yeah, so we got it right. Please be loud and vocal. You know the answer. So, thank you. Yeah. Leave aside all the material considerations. Good. And one more. In the beginning, Mataji, if you can scroll up, please. Krishangi Mataji, please scroll up. Yeah, here. It's in the first sentence. Yes, Yash Prabhu.
So any person who seriously desires real happiness, we have to go to a bona fide spiritual master and take
you
shelter.
seek a sincere happiness, you seek a spiritual master, and then you take shelter by initiation or diksha. Okay? So there are several noticeable key takeaways from this translation. But let's continue our reading further, and we can read into the purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. According to Sridhar Swami, the word Shabde refers to the Vedic literature, and Pare refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The bona fide spiritual master must be Nishnatam, deeply experienced in authorized Vedic literatures, and in practical understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without scriptural knowledge and practical realization of the Personality of Godhead, a so-called guru will be unable to dissipate the doubts of his disciples and therefore unable to execute the function of bringing the sincere student back home, back to Godhead. The symptom of realized understanding of the Vedas and Krishna is upashamashrayam. In other words, the bona fide spiritual master is one who has retired from the glittering illusions of materialistic society, friendship, and love. Let's take a quick pause here. Anything that you can reflect on from this? It's your forum, your platform. My role here is to only bring out the translation from the books and share with you. The more we speak, the more we learn. Yes, bro.
At the top of the screen right now, it describes how a so-called guru is unable to dissipate the doubts of disciples and therefore unable to execute the function of bringing the sincere student back home, back to Godhead.
What kind of guru is that who is unable to dissipate the doubts of the students? What kind of guru?
One who is not bona fide.
One who is not bona fide.
Like, in line of disciplic succession.
In line of disciplic succession. Somebody who just wakes up in the morning and says, I got a dream that I am the guru. Or, well, I don't say I am the guru. My followers say that I am a guru. Or somebody has social media influence. He has 2 million, I don't know what's the right number these days, but influencers, they call it, right? Or social media. These people, they have followerships. So, can these people dissipate the doubt of their disciples? No. Because their knowledge is limited, their influence is limited only to their own scope of knowledge. But the bona fide spiritual master, as we just understood, that he or she can, first is qualified by studying deliberately and then realizing the conclusion himself and then passing it on to others. Thank you. Let's move on to next paragraph. Within the material world, one is certainly attracted to becoming a great intellectual, a powerful politician, the loving father of many beautiful and affectionate little children, a most honored welfare worker, or a highly admired and successful businessman. But none of these material positions have a permanent basis, nor do they afford permanent happiness, because they are all based on the primary misunderstanding by which one identifies himself with the material body. So this paragraph talks about people who are in the position of creating influence in society, people who are rich businessmen or who have political interest. They are political leaders. Those who are scholars, right? A most honored welfare worker. But are these things permanent in nature? No. Any examples you can relate with your real life? Anybody you know who is thinking that the world is permanent? Or not real life, if scriptures anywhere to elaborate on this point. If somebody thinks that the world is permanent, keep working, keep hard for it, and I will enjoy everything I establish and get here. But at the end, they just leave everything here when the time is there to leave the body.
Hare Krishna, I have one.
Yes, please.
Hiranyakashipu.
Hare Krishna.
Hiranyakashipu thought he could enjoy the material world, and he thought that he could fight with Lord Vishnu so that he could continue his pursuit of sensual enjoyment.
Yes, Hiranyakashipu thought that. Yes, good. To have a disagreement, first of all, with his own son, and then enmity with, of course, Vishnu. There's a story of Kamsa, actually. You know Kamsa, he's the maternal uncle of Krishna. And when Kamsa sends Akrura to bring Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura, right? He makes a very elaborate plan. He calls up his ministers and secretaries. He says, okay, you bring an elephant. You create a wrestling arena. You, Chanur Mushtik, get ready for wrestling match. And then Akrura, you go and bring Krishna. And then he comes, and then I will make sure to kill Krishna. And then we kill all the parents, kill my own father, Ugrasena. Everybody we kill. We kill all the kings of the planet. And then we will rule all over the world with the help of my associates, my friends. So he makes elaborate plan. In one chapter is written in detail in Bhagavatam. He makes such an elaborate plan that we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do that. Much like the modern day business meetings, right? Let's have a negotiation deal with that particular company. Let's bring them to our this meeting room or this restaurant for dinner, drinks with them and have fun with them, and then negotiate certain deals with them. Sometimes they make them uncomfortable, or let's acquire that company, or launch this product, whatever. This product will be killing the other company's product. The idea is not how to make my product better, but the idea is how to kill somebody else's product. So in this corporate world today, we see all of these examples. We make plans. There are people who keep on making plans thinking that their plans will survive forever. Anybody who is not aware of such things? Practically everyone, right? Most of us, we see these day-to-day examples in our workplace that, we do something to establish a prominence for a longer term, for eternity. That product will be there forever. But the law of nature is nothing in this material world is permanent. It's dukhalaya ashashwatam. It's a place of misery, and ashashwatam means temporary. Nothing is permanent. Okay, Mataji, let's go back to the reading with the base. We were in the other tab, I think. In the Bhagavatam, 11th, here. Let's scroll down, please. Anyone can readily experience that he is not the body but consciousness. Even if one loses a limb of his body, he does not cease to exist as a conscious entity. Ultimately, the entire body is lost at the time of death, and the living entity acquires a new body. The preliminary understanding of one's identity as consciousness is called self-realization. So I see a lot of you from Indian background here. And there's this culture of, and I think not just India, everywhere in the world, in the advertisements, marketing world, there's a tagline like, diamonds are forever, or diamond is forever. What is that? Diamond is forever. Whose tagline is that? Diamond is forever. De Beers, diamonds, right? Okay. Hamara Bajaj. In India, there's a scooter company, Bajaj. I don't know if they still exist. Do they still exist in India? Scooter? Okay. So, the punchline back when I was growing was Hamara Bajaj. The butter is Amul, the taste of India. And any more taglines here in the US or in other places you have grown?
I'm loving it. McDonald's.
I'm loving it. Who was that, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm loving it. I love you. It's a wonderful
love you
example.
too.
Thank you. So, this is a very famous tagline these days. If I go to distribute, I'm sure those of you who are distributing books actively, you will see people, yeah, it's good. I'm not religious. I'm more like a spiritual person. I'm not religious. Anybody heard of that? It's a very common thing, right? I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. Good, great. You are not religious, but you are spiritual. So how are you spiritual? What is spirit? And what is spirituality? Do you know that? Can you explain to me if you are spiritual? And at that point, we understand that the somebody who is just trying to evade the communication or the conversation versus they are really spiritual person. And if you go deeper, this and sometimes actually is a real person, I'm telling them, say, yeah, spirituality, isn't this something that is my own personal space? Why do I have to listen to somebody else to tell me what spirituality is? Well, you need to first know what is a spirit. Without a spirit, there is no spirituality. So when it talks about self-realization, the preliminary understanding of one's identity as consciousness is called self-realization. Right? And that self-realization, if somebody is understanding that in the guidance of a spiritual master, who is himself self-realized, then that is called a real spirituality. And fine, Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion. So yeah, it's okay not to follow religion, but at least don't evade the conversation by saying that I know something which you don't know anything about. So, but beyond this elementary knowledge is the elaborate subject matter of how the soul came to exist within the cycle of 8,400,000 material species of life. And if the living entity is not the material body but consciousness, he must ultimately have an original status on a higher platform. So punishment implies reward. Okay, good. Punishment implies reward also. A powerful man who can punish is also able to reward. Somebody wants to read? Vicky? Yeah, go ahead. This paragraph.
Therefore, the existence of punishment for the living being who is forced to take a miserable material body subject to birth, old age, disease, and death also logically implies the existence of a reward for him. Although we mistakenly consider material sense gratification the ultimate reward of life, material happiness is actually another type of punishment, since it entices one to continue rotating in the cycle of birth and death. In the Western countries, violent prisoners are placed in solitary confinement, whereas well-behaved prisoners are sometimes allowed to work in the warden's garden or library as a reward. But any position in prison is ultimately a punishment. Similarly, the existence of higher and lower categories of material sense gratification does not explain the living entity's ultimate reward, which must constitute the natural antithesis of the punishment of material existence. That actual reward is an eternal life of bliss and knowledge in the kingdom of God, where there is no punishment. The kingdom of God is Vaikuntha, or unconditional pleasure. There is no punishment in the spiritual world. It is a place of ever-increasing pleasure.
Thank you, Vicky. So this paragraph talks about the stage of punishment. Now, interestingly, there are people who don't even recognize. They have no idea of what they are suffering, what they are going through. So this paragraph talks about some prisoners who are in a prison. They are, even though they might appear to be involved in a higher category of service, like being a librarian or a gardener, or in the modern context, doing the IT work, or some managing the technical infrastructure of a jail, a prison house. But they are still the residents of a prison house. They are still the inmates there. They are not free. So it's very, very common to see people who don't recognize or don't even realize there's a higher taste, because everybody is so busy day and night, going to office in the morning, getting up first of all late, going to office, doing all the meetings, telling truths and lies all through the day, and then coming back, watching Netflix, Prime videos, scrolling the screen, going to bed. Before that, eating and drinking. Next day starts. How can this be a bondage? Somebody might argue, I'm getting a chance to do what I need. I want to do these things, I'm getting. How do you justify the point that this could be a bondage? Yes, check Prabhu.
Because you're in bondage to the senses.
Okay, that's of a higher nature. The knowledge is profound, but higher. Good. So how do you explain to me, who is busy in working, emailing 14 hours a day, weekends, long weekends, holidays, all the time, and just work, expecting others to work, because I send emails, so I expect others to respond back to my emails over the weekend or attend meetings. Or because I am traveling to a different country in a different time zone, I expect my team members to reply to my phone calls at midnight or late nights or over the weekends. There are people, we know them, right? All of us know people like this. We don't know. We know, we work in the global companies, Apple, right? Other companies. That's the modern culture today, everywhere. Yes, Prabhu, you had idea. Yes.
I can explain an analogy that I heard from a different lecture that I thought was relevant to this discussion.
Yes.
In sports, there are often different divisions, like Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, so on. Division 1 is often considered like the most competitive, the highest level division, where there's the best athletes are there. And the lower divisions are also, they have different grades of athletes who also, they also engage in the sport. And in each division, you can have a champion and then like a different ranking within the division itself. So the pleasure we experience in the material world through our senses, whether it be through work, through pleasure, whatever it is, it is a pleasure, but it is a lower grade of pleasure in a lower division.
It's a pleasure, but lower grade of pleasure.
Yeah, and so by thinking that this is we assume that this is the topmost pleasure, but when there exists that, we think we're in division 2 or 3, but we're thinking that we're actually in division 1. And if we have a really nice material life, it's like you're the champion of that division. But in reality, you're the champion of just a lower division. There is a higher division to go to and experience.
Because we are thinking of our narrow vision is limited only to that narrow realm around us. Yeah. Good. Thank you, Prabhu, both of you. So, and by the way, one more point. So does education qualification, having a great degree or a great social position, a career profile, or a great resume on LinkedIn, does it in any way represent that somebody is free from this bondage? Yeah, right? So I can tell of a real example actually. Some years back I came to know there is in Indonesia there is this animal called civet, and there is a coffee. So what they do is they feed the small cat-like animal. They feed the civet with these coffee beans, and when the animal passes stool, it is sold out in the market, and people line up actually for long hours to get a premium quality, one of the most expensive quality coffees in the world. So this was known to me for many, many years, until I came across somebody from a great university, having a great degree, sitting with me on a dinner table in my office meetings, discussing, couple of people, oh, I had it. So sometimes I thought maybe earlier, like 10 years back when I first heard about it, maybe, I don't know, who are those people who are too much in the mode of ignorance, tamasic mode, right? As the scriptures reveal to us. But then when I came across people, they are all around us. We work with these people every day. And they take pride in telling that I ate the stool of an animal. How pathetic, how fallen the situation has become of somebody who has gone to great universities, working for global companies, and who is expected to have a higher level of intellect in the social circles. Isn't this example relating to this situation? In the material world, people don't recognize that there is a reward of eternal life, bliss and knowledge outside this. But prisoner thinks that he's just happy in the prison. And they take pride in telling everybody, Yeah, I am a gardener or a librarian in the prison. Yes.
Thanks, Prabhu, for what you shared. Your example also reminds me of these days we see some really big challenge facing all humankind. And for example, like the environment and how we sustain as a human species. And you start to see organizations or society try to implement some solutions. But then I think I realized by your example, you're still living in a prison because there are still organizations. And in this material world, sure, an organization can adopt some sustainability measurements and say like, we are doing better, but it's very hard to believe some airplane companies saying like their whole business is to fly customers here and there, and they are not causing any harm, even though you adopt any matrix to measure you are neutral. So I think not to say that they shouldn't do that, but I think just to realize we are still living in this prison as long as these organizations exist in this material world.
Yeah. Jails, prison houses, they all have gangs, right? This gang, that gang. Well, I've never been to jail, but I've heard. I went only once to jail to distribute books, by the way. Not myself. And that's what we were told ahead of time. The jailer told us, okay, beware, okay? You are devotees, but be careful. There are gangs everywhere. So one organization, second organization, third organization. To your point, right? There are different organizations trying to improve the condition of a jail. Okay, next, Mataji, please, if you can scroll down. Now, a bona fide spiritual master is one who is expert in all of these subject matters, not by his personal imagination or speculation, but by nature or by mature understanding of the authorized Vedic literatures, which are the literary manifestation of the causeless mercy of God. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9.3, Ashadadhana purusha dharmasya separantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. Those who are not faithful on the path of devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of foes, but return to birth and death in this material world. Therefore, the spiritual master must awaken the disciple to the eternal existence of devotional service. Now, interesting example. The example may be given that in the early morning, a mother may enter her child's room to wake him up so that he can attend school. The child does not want to get up, but the loving mother forces him to get up and sends him off to school to be educated. Similarly, the bona fide spiritual master awakens the sleeping soul and sends him to the Gurukula, or the ashram of the spiritual master, where he can be trained in perfect knowledge. Right? Old stories again, going to school here. Second incident, right? And then we all loved going to school. I loved going to meet friends, to be honest, but not to the classrooms, to be honest, right? So this example, there's a story actually, interesting story from Srila Prabhupada's own biography. Some of you may have already heard of that. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was a small kid, he did not like to go to school. So he would make excuses. Oh, I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that, and talk to his mother. And his mother obviously won't like it because she knew that Abhay is excusing himself out of the school, so he's lying. So she would take him to his father, Gaur Mohan De, and say, hey, you say something to him. And in front of his dad, Prabhupada, the child would say, yeah, tomorrow I will do. And the dad says, fine, good, to tomorrow. And then tomorrow he said, yeah, another excuse, I'm sick, or something happened. So this is how he was growing up. So Srila Prabhupada's mother, what she did was she hired a person as a caretaker to take Srila Prabhupada to school, or Abhay Charan to school. So what, and she, I think, paid like some 4 rupees or something back in those days. 4 rupees was a big thing. So that person was hired. What he would do, he would take a rope, he would tie the rope around the waist of Abhay and would take him to school like that. And then his only job was to take care of Abhay in the school. And he would just go there, sit, and then if the child runs away from the class, he would go and bring him back in the class. So that's an interesting, a funny incident of Srila Prabhupada's own life. I read from biography, and I could remember from this incident here that as a children in general don't want to go to school, but the mothers have to discipline them. Right? If the disciple has doubts about the value of Krishna consciousness, the bona fide spiritual master must dissipate those doubts by superior knowledge. One who himself doubts the authority of Krishna or Vedic knowledge cannot become a bona fide spiritual master. On the other hand, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kena Naya Yei Krishna Tattva Veta Shai Guru Haya. Any human being from any social or economic status can become a bona fide spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. So I grew up in India, and I heard people saying that, oh, you are following a Western Swami, Western Guru, and he cannot be a bona fide Guru, and we are Indians and we should be following an Indian person, and these are Westerners. But the Srimad Bhagavatam in multiple places actually clarifies this. And this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, I believe, right? Any human being from any social or economic status can become a bona fide spiritual master. Doesn't have to be a rich or poor, going to a high school or a PhD degree, or school dropout. Doesn't have to be tall or short, male or female. Economic status, rich or poor, can become a bona fide spiritual master. If that person knows the science of Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh, amar agya haya guru haya tare desh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. CC Madhya 7:128. Only by the order and authority of the Supreme Lord, one can become a spiritual master, not by one's own so-called erudition. The duty of the bona fide guru is to connect the disciple to Krishna. A scholar or meditator has no potency to connect another living being with Krishna if that scholar or meditator himself is not connected with Krishna. So there are many gurus these days who expand and propound various theories that, oh, I am God, you are God, everyone is God. And I'm also a spiritual master. I have this organization called something, right? And there are so many organizations in the world today, right? So I don't want to point anybody, but if somebody wants to learn the art of sleeping, there's art of sleeping also, right? So I have actually a real example of somebody who, my co-worker, I was telling about some books I'm reading, and she said, yeah, I also do yoga. I asked, what kind of yoga do you do? I'm a yoga instructor. So I said, wow, what kind of yoga do you teach? I practice and teach yoga nidra. I make everyone sleep through yoga nidra. So I said, great, you'll be successful in this modern time because sleeplessness is a big challenge, these days for us. So people pose themselves as spiritual master because even if they are not connected to Krishna, but here we learn that a scholar or meditator has no potency to connect because they are themselves not connected to Krishna. Although many sports fans attend gymnastic competitions and applaud at the exhibition of difficult calisthenic feats, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not such a gymnastic spectator, and he does not applaud the calisthenics exhibited by foolish persons in the name of yoga. Nor is the Supreme Personality of Godhead impressed by mediocre attempts at philosophical speculation. Since the Lord has already given his own opinion in Bhagavad Gita, Shuru me paramam vacha. The word of Krishna is paramam vacha, the last word in knowledge. And Krishna says, Yajnatva neha bhuyo najnatavam avishishyate. When you know this knowledge, there shall remain nothing further to be known. Krishna has also referred to his knowledge as Rajavidya, the king of all knowledge. If one does not become a lover of Krishna, his connection with Krishna takes place indirectly through the illusory potency of the Lord. The idea that one can attract the Supreme Lord through mere gymnastics or foolish speculation on the absolute truth is certainly a product of Maya. So one might think that I can get around the laws of DMV or I can just evade my taxes or something. One has to follow the laws of government one or the other way. If one does not become lover of government will force you to abide the laws. If you don't follow the laws of taxes, they're going to put you in the jail. If you don't follow the DMV laws, the driving rules, the cops are going to come and pull you over. But this way, that way, the government is going to make you follow the rules. In the same way here, if we don't love Krishna, the connection is still there, but the connection is through the material energy of Krishna, the illusory potency of Krishna. The idea that one can attract the Supreme Lord through mere gymnastics or foolish speculation on the absolute truth is certainly a product of Maya. One who is connected to Krishna through his external illusory potency can serve only as a material master to connect his so-called disciples to the same illusory energy. Somebody living in a prison house is connected to the government as much as we are connected. But we are living freely out here, versus somebody else is in bondage in the jail. But everybody is connected directly or indirectly, by voluntary or involuntary, right? On the other hand, in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakriti mashitaha bhajanti ananya manaso gnatva bhutadim avyayam. Those who are actually great souls have surrendered to the internal potency of the Lord and can similarly connect others to the internal pleasure-giving potency. A Mahatma is described in Bhagavad Gita as follows. Vasudeva sarvamiti sa Mahatma sudurlabha. He knows me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. It is to such a spiritual master who has reached the mature understanding that Vasudeva is everything, that one must surrender. According to Sri Narad Muni, Yo Vidvansa Guru Hari, such a great soul is to be considered the external manifestation of Krishna himself. Krishna states this also. Acharya mama vijaniyan nava manvaneta karhichit namartya buddhya shuyeta sarva deva mayo guru. One should know this Acharya to be myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. Bhagavatam 11:17-27. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, if a spiritual master cannot destroy his disciples' doubts by superior knowledge, the disciple will gradually become despondent in spiritual life. Because a bogus guru cannot actually give Krishna to disciples, according to the principle of rasa varjam rasopasya, the disciple will again become attracted to material happiness, not having achieved the bliss of Krishna association. Such a weak disciple of a weak spiritual master will gradually become hopeless and discouraged in his attempt at self-realization, and will again become fascinated by the temptations of illusion, such as women, money, and so-called intellectuality based on speculation and imagination. So I think this is a long purport. Can you scroll down, please, Mataji? There is more in the purport, but I'd like to be respectful of the time here and give you a real example of this bogus guru thing. So this talks about the weak disciple of a weak guru. And anybody in this world actually can claim to be a guru, right? It's a free world. So, and people are free to follow any guru. So long time back, I was in India, in Lord Jagannath's temple in Puri. And we went there with my relatives, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins were there, all of us were there. And I used to go there before COVID, I was a frequent visitor. So now they were the first time to Puri. So obviously after temple hours, you can go out and hang around and have some visit to tourist places also. So they were asking me like, okay, where can we go? So I was sitting just like this and think like you are all my relatives here, which you actually are, right? So so I was talking to them, okay, you can go to this temple, that temple. There is a sun temple in Konark. There is a Chandrabhaga beach. You can go to the beach. There is a golden beach in Puri, and you can go to shopping and all of these things. And then there were 6 or 7 of us in the family. But in a couple of minutes, there were like 15, 20 people behind them. Now, you are not noticing what's behind you, but I'm noticing who is behind you from here. And there were all these spectators and nodding their head like, yeah. As if I'm somebody like a guru, giving a good knowledge, a good gyan to everybody. And in the temple of Lord Jagannath, there was a big funny scene. People like, I don't know them, they don't know me. Yeah. Very, very serious faces. And interestingly, they were all engaged in the conversation, just listening to what I'm saying. Even though I did not intend to tell them. It was only for my 6 or 7 family members. It was only intended to be a tourist advisory going outside. And then it was nothing spiritual or religious about it. But everybody wants to listen, right? So people want to listen to bogus gurus. Anybody sees, yeah, there is 20 people after me. I'll speak anything. I'll become a guru. So with that, let's go to the final round here. Mataji, if you can bring up my slides. And just to make sure everybody has followed through what we discussed, I have a set of questions. Professor Chuck, ready for the quiz? Okay, next one, please. Next. So share some, before that, please. Yeah. Before. Yeah, here, okay. Anybody, online or in the class here, some examples of spiritual master and disciples that we discussed. Those who have not spoken yet, I encourage them to speak.
I have one.
Yes, please.
I actually thought of another one after. I was thinking about Narada Muni and the Prachetas.
Prachetas, good. Anybody else in the room here? Yes, Chuck.
Krishna and Arjuna.
Krishna Arjuna. What about your spiritual master? And his spiritual master? Who is your spiritual master?
Vaisheshika Dasa and Srila Prabhupada.
Perfect example, right? Thank you. Next slide, please. Few qualities of a bona fide guru.
One who follows what he preaches.
One who follows what he preaches. Good. More? How that person has learned. Mike.
He's received the knowledge through disciplic succession.
Received the knowledge through disciplic succession. Good. Mike.
One who has reached conclusions of the Vedic scriptures and is able to answer all the questions of his disciple.
One who has reached the conclusion of Vedic knowledge and is able to answer all the dissipated doubts of the students. That's the word used there. Good. Yes, next slide, please, Mataji. Oh, actually, I have this thing right with me. I can use this one. I forgot. See. If one does not become a lover of Krishna, his connection with Krishna takes place indirectly. How? Mike, please.
It's through his illusory energy.
What is illusory energy?
Maya.
Maya. Like, any examples?
Examples would be...
We discussed in the discussion a few minutes back.
I think I got it.
Yes, go ahead.
It's just like we're in the state, right? But there's prisoners and there's people outside of the prison. Both have a relationship with the state, but the ones in the prison house are not free, and then the ones outside of the prison house are free to do as they like.
Perfect.
But both are
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes.
servants of the state. Yeah.
That's illusory energy. Thank you. I'll try this one myself. Oh, no. This. What happens to a weak disciple of a weak spiritual master? We just read it like 3 minutes ago. Yes. Go ahead. You were first. You were first, right? Go ahead. No, you wanted to speak, right? Yeah.
So he gets frustrated and he goes back to the material.
He gets frustrated easily and falls back to material.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Next.
I agree. I'd agree with what Prabhu said. Because the spiritual master is weak, he's, like we discussed previously, he would be unable to dispel the doubts of the disciple. Yes. And then as Prabhu says, since the disciple has doubts, they would ultimately be frustrated and revert back to the material world.
Good. Thank you. So let's close the session with this reading. It's actually from a lecture from Srila Prabhupada. Who wants to read? Who has not used the mic yet? In the back. Pramod, you want to read? Pramod. Is it okay to read? Yeah, if I may ask, up to you. Thank you.
human life is developed consciousness journey. So Jnani. So why they should waste their time in inquiring of many unwanted things? They should devote their life simply for inquiring about the absolute truth, jignasu. Tato Brahma Jignasa. This life is meant for Brahma Jignasa. This life is not meant for life like cats and dogs. They have no jignasa. Their only jignasa is inquiry. Where is food? Where is sex? Where is nice apartment? Where is defense? This is their inquiry. In the animal life, there is no possibility of inquiring about the absolute truth. Everyone is working. They are also jignasu. Where is money? Where is money? That is also inquiry. So Atho Brahma Jignasa means this human form of life is meant for inquiring about the absolute truth. Brahma Jignasa, this is human life.
Thank you. So with this, we can wrap up the session today. Thank you for kind attention. And let's take up a few reflections or questions if you may have. Before we go into the next part of Keshwara presentations today. Yes.
So you mentioned that if a disciple, if a weak disciple is not able to understand, or the weak spiritual master is not able to convince the weak disciple, and he can fall down. We have heard many examples of ISKCON devotees also falling back to not chanting and not following the rituals. So what to say for that?
You mean those who are under a strong spiritual master,
yeah,
but they are themselves. You answered the question yourself that they are weak. Both have to be strong. The spiritual master as well as the student has to be, the disciple has to be strong. It doesn't work one way. Spiritual master can give you the knowledge of right things to prescription. Just like a doctor. Doctor can prescribe you medication. Take these pills at this time. Observe these rules and regulations in your diet, exercising or whatever. You need to control your cholesterol and do some, cardio, whatever they tell you. But if I don't do that, if I don't follow that regime, then doctor cannot guarantee my health, right? At the same time, doctor has to be strong. Doctor has to be qualified.
Is that the only reason, or are there other reasons why disciples would fall off from
Maya, illusory energy? Srila Prabhupada always said he wanted disciples to be afraid of Maya. Just be always afraid of Maya, because she is very strong. Krishna himself says in the Gita, Devi Hesha Gunmai Mama Maya Duratyaya. Duratyaya means extremely powerful. And something is energy of Krishna. How can it be weak? Krishna is strong. His energy is equally strong. Right? So you take the shelter of Krishna. Focus on your sadhana, spiritual master, and his instructions. Is this helpful? Other questions or reflections? Online? And if not, then... Oh, you have something? Okay. Okay, then thank you everyone for your participation. Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes.
Thank you for the wonderful lecture, and especially on this very important topic of importance of Guru, which is fundamental to our spiritual life. And more so on a very perfect timing, because just like you mentioned, next week is Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj appearance day. So it is a very, very special appearance day. It is on 29th, Thursday. It is 150th appearance day. Anniversary. It's a big festival. And all over the Gaudiya Math, ISKCON temples, huge celebration will be done on this special occasion of 150th birth anniversary of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And one of his main contribution was to expose the false gurus, which you covered in the topic.
Thank you, Prabhu. If I may add one more thing to what you said, or with a humble correction to what you said, you are saying that all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas are observing. Not just the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, indeed the United Nations Organization, UNESCO, is also observing Bhaktisiddhanta's 150th appearance day. You know how?
Yes.
UNESCO, they release a list of people every year. The celebrities in the eyes of UNO, they observe as a special people in that every year. And this year, they have a list of people. Out of that, Bhaktisiddhanta happens to be one of those people. Not because he's the first Indian or first Guru. He is the first Vaishnava Acharya to be recognized by UNO. So as Prabhuji rightly mentioned, Prabhu, thank you for bringing this up, such a beautiful point today. Let's give our heart and soul to serving the mission of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, on whose instruction Srila Prabhupada came to the Western world to preach the message in English. And thank you once again to all of you for your participation, your enthusiasm, all your energy that you brought here today, and empowering me and blessing me to do the service of speaking. Thank you all the audience on Zoom who have participated and who have listened and spoken. I look forward to meeting you again. If you have any questions or any doubts which we cannot cover today in the restriction of time that we have, please feel free to reach out to me or anybody in the ISKCON temple in Silicon Valley. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhyo vicha patita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. So now we should have a class by Kashura youth. Raseshwari
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Akashvani.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That was such a wonderful class. I was almost carried away by your class, actually, and forgot that we do have Kaishu representation. I won't be there in person, but I do hope that Pooja Regala is there. Is she there?
Yes.
Okay. So Pooja Regala has been actually my student since a young age. I would say I remember her since 6 years, and probably even before. And very proud to say that she's now 15 almost, and she's a fantastic Kaishara student. She's prepared a wonderful topic on how to cultivate spiritual relationships. So I highly encourage that you all take advantage of this wonderful topic, and she's going to cover a lot of details about this. So with that, I'll hand over to you, Pooja.
Hare Krishna, my name is Pooja, and today I will be talking about how we can cultivate spiritual relationships. First, let's understand spiritual relationships. Spiritual relationships are much deeper than material relationships, and they allow us to connect with other devotees while also gaining good qualities on the way and progressing in bhakti. Spiritual relationships allow us to learn so many things while connecting so much deeper with devotees. Why are relationships? Since every living being is eternally related to Lord Krishna, we should always treat every living being with respect and kindness. With this said, why are relationships even important, and why do we need them? Every living being has a natural characteristic to love and to be loved. And everyone longs for a loving exchange, a loving relationship where they can exchange the joys of their life and gain enough emotional strength through the difficulties of their life. Even Lord Krishna needs relationships. Even though Lord Krishna has immense opulence, he is most pleased by his devotees. The 4 types of relationships are Sakhya, Vatsalya, Dasya, and Madhurya. Sakhya is friends, Vatsalya is parents, Dasya is servants, and Madhurya is lover. Does spirituality arrest relationships?
A common misconception is that to be on the spiritual path, we have to completely eliminate all of our relationships and only serve the Lord. However, although we should serve the Lord, we should also spend time associating with devotees, because associating with devotees allows us to gain deeper spiritual knowledge and allows us to progress in bhakti. An example of this is Parikshit Maharaj. When Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die in 7 days, he was neither afraid of death, nor was he hankering for liberation. His only wishes were that if he was reborn, he would have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna and friendly relations with all living beings and heartfelt association with devotees. This was because Parikshit Maharaj understood the importance of devotee association on the spiritual path, and he understood that since everyone is a child of God, he should treat them with respect and kindness. The role of discrimination in relationships. So now that we've talked about how we should connect with devotees and other spiritual people, how about materialistic people? We have so many encounters with materialistic people in our day-to-day lives. So what about them? Lord Chaitanya advises us that we should stay away from materialistic people because being materialistic sometimes leads to being ignorant and arrogant. But at the same time, we have so many encounters with them in our day-to-day lives, and we can't ignore them. An example of this would be a sickness. If someone has a contagious disease, we would be wise to stay away from the person so we don't get the disease. But at the same time, we can't hate the person. In a similar way, we should try to avoid relationships with materialistic people, but we should never become their enemy or hate them. Relationships with worldly people. Because being materialistic often leads to ignorance and arrogance, we should try to stay away from materialistic people. But with this said, we should always try to educate and enlighten them in our encounters. There are many ways we can spiritualize our material relationships. For example, if the person we're having a relationship with is not a devotee, we can try to introduce them to spirituality and show them the spiritual path. But if they are a devotee, we can spend time engaging in devotional service and perform spiritual activities together. It's very important to have devotee association and spiritualize our material relationships because this allows us to progress in bhakti and save us. Keys to cordial relationships. Only in the association of devotees can one advance in bhakti. One needs to be careful to never offend a devotee, shown the importance of them in their spiritual path. Devotee relationships must be based on selflessness and service rather than exploitation and pampering one's ego, like most material relationships are. And for this, the main qualities to have for cordial relationships are sensitivity, empathy, sympathy, forgiveness, gratitude, and most importantly, willingness to support each other through the troughs and peaks in life. Furthermore, Srila Rupa Goswami has created 6 loving exchanges that allow us to deepen our connection with other devotees. These 6 exchanges are offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind and confidence, inquiring confidentiality, accepting prasada, and offering prasada. Spiritual discussions for sustainable relationships. It is always important to avoid material discussions with devotees and focus on talking about Lord Krishna and how they can perform devotional service. It is also very important to have good relationships with devotees because not only does this gain us a deep connection and give us so much knowledge, but it also pleases the Lord. When devotees quarrel and share a strained relationship, The Lord his heart gets pained and therefore is unhappy. But when we have loving relationships with other devotees and are united, the Lord feels pleasure, and therefore he showers us with benedictions and fulfills our wishes. So therefore, we should always be in friendly relationships with all of the devotees. Commonality and uniqueness. The Pandavas were very different to each other, and they all had different strengths and weaknesses, but they were bound by love. They were always united by having Krishna at the center. Therefore, in conclusion, by keeping Krishna at the center, we can have our own unique personality while respecting others for who they are. And we can experience nourishment in our relationships with devotees through spiritual discussions and service, while at the same time we can show compassion to innocent people by bringing them into the spiritual path. Thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna. Does anyone have questions? Oh, yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. There we go. First of all, amazing presentation. I like that the slides were a concise version of what you were saying. It wasn't exactly what you were saying, but what you said expounded upon it, basically. You also mentioned, you talked a lot about the importance of devotee relationships and keeping them spiritual, talking about Krishna, things like that. You had one slide that mentioned spiritualizing material relationships with people that may not be devotees right away. What's like a practical example on how to do that?
A practical example would be like if there's like people from your workplace, and also like material relationships are good, but the reason why we should avoid them is because like being materialistic like sometimes lead to like ignorance and arrogance. So like spiritual relationships are better. So with material relationships, we can like introduce spirituality to them, because like this allows them to like understand what our thinking is and become more spiritual. Thank you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, thanks so much for the presentation. I have a question about, I think you mentioned 6 types of relationships with devotee, and one of the 6 is reviewing your mind with confidence. Can you say a little bit more about that point?
Oh yeah, so this means that like inquiring confidentiality and revealing one's mind in confidence. So this would mean that like when you ask other devotees for like how you can like advance in devotional service, like there are some like ways that we can advance in devotional service that are like confidential, and this would be like inquiring about it to like other devotees, and that deepens your connection with them because you're like sharing confidential ways on how you can advance in devotional service.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes?
Hare Krishna, thank you for your very sweet presentation. It was very concise and very meaningful. Especially touching on the very important topic of association and how do we maintain harmony in our relationships is very important. So growing up as a teenager yourself, what do you think works best for your friend circle, your parents, your age group people in terms of association? What teenager matters to most to teenagers in association?
I think for most teenagers, what like works better is like going to like group association like activities, like maybe like radiyatras or like other devotional service that you're doing together as a group, because it's like engaging and you're also like forming connections while doing devotional service. So I think that's the best way for teenagers.
So if I have to include or involve a new teenager who is interested, it's a real request somebody asked me. What should I be doing? Should I just bring them to the class with his parents or make friends with you guys first? What should I be doing? Or take him to Sunday youth jam in the evening?
I think also like Sunday school is really good because that like allows them to like learn with other people together, and then like you naturally are like become friends with other devotees. And also, yeah, like taking them to like group activities after they're like friends with other devotees, because it like deepens their bond too.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pooja. That was excellent. I'm very proud of you. I think the presentation covered some of the practical aspects of how to really develop relationships and cultivate those relationships in the, in the paradigm of spirituality. It's a very big topic, and in a real world, it's quite challenging because we are all dealing with our own shortcomings and also tolerating others. There's work to be done inside, and then there's work to be done with relationships outside. So thank you so much for bringing these points together, and very proud that you could answer all the questions. It's not easy, and look forward to having a more spiritual connections with within the youth. I have seen that you participate so well when we do our Sunday. Sometimes we do Sunday cooking preparation together. The Kaishura students come together, and I've noticed that Pooja and her family, they're always there, always supporting the group effort. And Pooja, by the way, likes to chop vegetables, and she's so expert at it. So thank you for being such a great example.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'll hand over Yaśoda-Krpā Prabhu. Please hand over for the next program. I think it's Guru Puja. So.
Hare Krishna. So the next event for right now is the Guru Puja. So we request all the guests. Anybody for the first time here? Hare Krishna, welcome. What's your name? Sorry? Vidyasagar. Let's give a big round of applause to Vidyasagar ji and say Hari Bol. Hari Bol. So we meet every Saturday morning like this. We have a Srimad Bhagavatam class followed by Kirtan, which you will see right now. And this is followed by Prasadam. And we also meet Sunday evenings. There is a Bhagavad Gita class at 3:30, followed by Aarti and Prasadam. Saturday mornings and Sunday evenings, please never miss them. And we love to make friends with you. So feel free to ask any volunteer if you need any help here. We're always here to serve everybody. So yes, let's get ready for the Guru Puja. Any announcements for today? No? Then yeah, or something. Okay. Let's keep the asanas, the seats back. Take a couple of minutes to get the room ready, and then we can do the Kirtan and Aarti for Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatad Sakadine Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadhiko Bhaktavinda Jaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna We will read the translations and the Guru Parinidhi first. We can read it together. Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Pai Chekeva. Chadiya Nistara Seva. Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Pai Chekeva. Namashreshtham manamapi sachiputram matra sarupam Shri Rupam tasyagrajam urupurim gosthavatim Radha kundam girivaram maho radhika madhavasam Prapto yasya pratikripaya Shri Gurum tam natosmi He Guru Janada Dina Bandhu Swananda Data Karunaika Sindhu Vrindavana Sena Hitavatara Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara He Dina Bandhu Karunaika Sindhu Kuru Prasadam Mai Mandamudhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapa Gadhe Tatpada Padme Stumatischa Krishne. Can you advance the slide? Naivo Pati Apacham Kavastveshetham Brahma Supsikritam Radha Mudha Amritaha Yontara Bahestanu Vritam Ashutam Vritam Acharya Chaitavapusa Swadatim Janati. Without serving the representative of Krishna, nobody can approach Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of son of Sachimata, the association of Srila Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Sri Radha and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of the fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy, so that my mind can be fixed on your lotus feet and on Krishna. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even they are endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma, for you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our questions prepared, the word of emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the fulfillment of desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our heart with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. For him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhagati Sadma Guru Charana Padma Vallabha Bandamui Savadhana Mate Bandamui Savadhana Mate Jahara prasade bhai bhavato riya jai Jahara prasade bhai bhavato riya Krishna prapti hai jaha hai te Krishna prapti hai jaha hai te Guru mukha padma vakya chitit ko diya kya Arana kori ho mane asha Arana kori ho mane asha Guru charane rati aise uttama gati Shri Guru charane rati aise uttama gati Prasad pure sarva asha Prasad pure sarva asha Prasad pure sarva asha Prasad pure sarva asha Chakudan dilo de janme janme prabhu se Chakudan dilo de Chakudan dilo de janme janme prabhu se Chakudan dilo de Divya gyan vidya prakashita Divya gyan vidya prakashita Divya gyan vidya prakashita Tema bhakti jaha hoite avidya vinasha jate Tema bhakti jaha hoite Tema bhakti jaha hoite avidya vinasha jate Tema Vedegay Jahar Charito Vedegay হৃদয় গায় যাহার চরিত হৃদয় গায় শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনারা বন্ধু করুণা সিন্ধু শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনারা বন্ধু লোকনাথ লোকেরা জীবানা লোকনাথ লোকেরা জীবানা আহা প্রভু কর দয়া দেহ মোর পদ ছায়া আহা প্রভু কর দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া বিজাস সুত্রিভুবনা বিজাস সুত্রিভুবনা শিল প্রভুপাদ পতিত পাবনা শিল প্রভুপাদ জয় গুরুদেব হইল শরণ जय प्रभु पदा जय प्रभु पदा जय प्रभु पदा जय प्रभु पदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radha Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radha Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Jaya Hari Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Jaya Hari Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Vishnupada Paramahansa Privrajakachacha Stotra Sat Divine Grace by Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Privrajakachacha Stotra Sat His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की गंगा माई जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की All glories to assembled devotees. Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Firstly, we would like to thank Yaśoda-Krpā Prabhu for giving us, for starting with the Japa session in the morning, Make Japa Great Again, followed by Srimad Bhagavatam class. The topic was necessity of the spiritual master. Thank you so much, Yaśoda-Krpā Prabhu. We always look forward for your classes. Today is no exception. We also like to thank our broadcast person, Krishangi Mataji. She has been there since, she comes before 6 o'clock to start the broadcast, and she's still here covering the broadcast. And also our cooks who are still working in the kitchen. The cooks for this day, for today, are Vishwapati Prabhu, Rupashri Mataji, Raghavacharya Prabhu, and Shyam Bhakta Prabhu. If anyone is here or online from Sankirtan, you can make your announcements. Otherwise, we will go with the Prasadam prayers now. Anyone from the Sankirtan team? Okay, so we'll go with the Prasadam prayers. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we just heard the news that Balamukunda Prabhu and Mukta Mataji, they were blessed with a baby girl just an hour ago, and they're requesting prayers from all of us. We pray for the safe health of the baby as well as the mother, and pray that they all get shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Anyone wants to lead the Prasadam prayers?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Dandvat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So, for Sankirtan, Prabhu, there will be two teams going. One is going to SF. There is a Chinese New Year street fair. So we are leaving in an hour. If anybody would like to join, there will be more than 100,000 people there. So it's a very nice time for book distribution. And another team will be going to downtown, Mountain View. So if you want to go nearby, you can join them also. I also would like to acknowledge Krishna Sakha Prabhu and Kamlakshi Radhe Mataji. They came back from their traveling Sankirtan, the second traveling Sankirtan this year. They went to Chico State and distributed many Trimurti sets, more than 200. So thank you so much. And we have a goal of distributing at least 250 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets. If you would like to send it to India or any other friend in US or even in London, we can ship it for you. Please let us know. You can let me know or any other devotee in the temple. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kautukarna Prabhu. So next is Prasadam prayers. Jayakanya Prabhu will lead the prayers.
जीवे फैले विषय सागरे तार मध्य जिभायति bodhayama puribhari vibhaga saprasad anna dilobhai sheyannam bhutapao Radha Krishna Gunagao Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Mitai Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Mitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nandhamani Vaishnava Kalpatinavatam Rajan Vishwasya Jayate Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Hanirasyo Pradayate Utsayashi Buddhi Paryavatishtate Tavayopa Bhukta Shadgandha Vasulankara Chartita Uchishta Bhodino Asat Agmayam Jahemahi Bhagavad Shri Mahaprasada Ki Jai. Please take prasadam now.
Hare Krishna, the prasada will be served in the picnic spot in just a few minutes. Please stand by.